What if she complains that she's exhausted with all the house chores, all the things she has to keep track of, despite everything you do to contribute?
This should cook at 425, not 455. You're gonna burn it. Not that sponge, that one's for the pans. You're driving too slow. Again. Don't forget to clean the windows.
So what if you work all day, you pay for the nanny, the vacations, the nice dinners, and you walk in the door and somehow you're handed a second full-time job? You did the oven, the dishes, you cleaned the counter, took the kids to practice, and she's still exhausted, and somehow you're still behind. When couples bring this to marriage counseling, the fix is almost always the same. Build a task schedule, divide the chores fairly. The idea being, if the labor is split evenly, the resentment will dissolve. Well, it won't. Because this approach misses the real question underneath it. Not who does the task, who owns it. When you say, I clean the kitchen or I'll cook dinner, are you owning it or are you just being the help? I'm Olivier Bessanier, a relationship coach specializing in healthy masculinity. I train men on 5 core skills to build and maintain love and respect. I've combined 25 years of research and experience with neuroscience to create a training system with an AI app. My book lays out the framework, Back to Love and Respect, 5 intimacy skills to solve relationship crises without therapy. Now let's dive in. One of my exes would say, "It's nice that you helped clean the kitchen, but..." And then came the list. You didn't do the windows, you didn't wipe the top of the boards. Even though I took on the task of cleaning the kitchen, for example, she was still owning the task, overseeing it, managing it. And that was a lose-lose setup. Here's why. Unconsciously, she saw the kitchen as her domain, her territory. So when she cleaned it, she resented me that she had too much to do and felt overwhelmed. But when I cleaned it, she was grateful for the help for a minute, and then the same exhaustion came right back because now she had to either finish the job or settle for less. In her mind, she still owned the task. Therefore, she was rating my work against her standard, her preferences, her way. She could never fully let go, and I could never do it right. And since she couldn't let go of owning the task, I was the help. And the help is not sexy. A woman can't look up to the help. She can only look down on it. So the arguments kept spiraling, and one by one, it all went. Respect tanked, trust tanked, intimacy tanked, attraction tanked, and our connection suffered. I could have waited for her to change, complain that she was too nagging, too demanding, too difficult. Then I realized something. Maybe I didn't have to wait. Maybe I could initiate the change myself. So next time I didn't ask, I owned it. And I told her, I'm about to clean the kitchen or cook dinner or load the dishwasher. But when I clean the kitchen, it's not your kitchen, it's my kitchen, my territory. I'm not cleaning the kitchen to help you out. I'm cleaning the kitchen because I like a clean kitchen. So get out of my way. Don't tell me how it's done. Don't tell me what I missed. I'm gonna own this task from A to Z. Don't be my manager or my quality control. Just let it go. When I own a task, it gets done my way. Not better, not worse, maybe different than how you do it. It'll just be done, off the list. This is not your house. This is my house too. Now, if that sounds too sharp for where you are, I get it. You don't have to come in that hot. Here's my boundary framework. Step 1, reassurance. Real quick, I can send you my book for free. That is the audiobook, because who has time to sit down and read? Just go to backtoloveandrespect.com and take the evaluation. In just 3 minutes, it will reveal the gaps, explaining why she stays critical or distant, and the plan, what you can do to regain control in the situation. And you'll get access to my book all for free. Now back to it. So here's my boundary framework. Step 1, reassurance. You start by taking the threat out of it. I know you're trying to help. When you tell me about the windows, the top of the boards, the sponge, the driving directions, the cooking instructions, I know you're just trying to help. It conveys that you're not attacking her. You're telling her that she's not the problem. You acknowledge that she's coming with good intentions. Then step 2, the boundary. Now you name what works for you and what doesn't work for you. but I need to fully own the tasks I take on. I'm not your help. You're not my manager. Okay, so that's the line. Clean, no apology, no attack, just where you stand. And at step 3, the request. Finally, you make the actionable request that dissolves the underlying issue. So please, let this one go. I've got it. I own it fully. It's not yours anymore. Stop tracking it. Stop managing it. Reassurance, boundary, actionable request. So here's the takeaway. If you've already built a chore schedule and something still feels unresolved, that's your cue to ask a different question. Not who does it, who owns it. Pick one task, make it yours, start to finish. Don't be the help, make it your territory. And here's why this works. She's not exhausted because of the chores. She's exhausted because she never puts a single thing down. Even when you do it, she's still tracking it, still rating it, still on the hook for it in her head. When you own a task completely, she gets to stop tracking it, and that's the relief she's after. Not a cleaner kitchen, one less thing to carry in the back of her head. One warning though, the first time you own something, she'll test you. Did you do the windows? And she'll hover. That's not her being difficult, she just doesn't believe it yet. So don't fight, don't cave, just say, I've got this, babe. Stay out of my territory. Demonstrate it a couple of times and she'll start to trust it. And here's the part that's empowering to you. You did all this without asking her to change a thing. You didn't win an argument, you didn't drag her to therapy, you set a new direction without apologizing or asking for permission, and she'll respond to it. It's not that she's impossible to please, she's just worn out from carrying everything alone. And you don't fix that with a longer to-do list or a nicer vacation. You fix it by becoming a man she can lean on. Someone who takes a thing and owns it, so she can finally put it down in her mind. Not her help, a leader, her man. Now, if you're thinking of going to couples therapy, I want to tell you my personal experience and what I learned. In this next video, you'll learn why couples therapy failed me and what I discovered that changed everything from what's wrong to what's missing. Because I genuinely believe the premise, to have a better relationship, you need to heal your wounds and become a better person. But I discovered that while healing your wounds makes you a healthier person, it does not make you a skilled partner. The clinical world has a tendency to diagnose, pathologize, but not every man is sick. Most men are normal guys trying to figure out normal relationship challenges. What you need is the 5 skills most men were never taught. Let me explain.